Welcome to a new Daily Top Askreddit video. Today's topic.
What's a sign that someone grew up poor? I wasn't in the know with all the cool Cartoon Network and Nickelodeon shows. But I did watch Arthur, Cyber Chase, Clifford and Dragon Tales. My parents never had cable their whole lives. We had 12 channels on the rabbit ears, and then eventually in high school my parents got Netflix. When it was new before streaming. If I was homesick it was Magic School Bus, Arthur, Cyber Chase, Zoom, Dragon Tales, Zaboomafoo, Krat Brothers, Bob Ross, Julia Child, The Price is Right, Maury, Jerry Springer, Tyra Banks, The Simpsons, King of the Hill, and of course all of the INFOMERCIALS. Edit. Also, Liberty Kids, Redwall, Steve Wilkos, Judge Judy, Reading Rainbow, Between the Lions, Wishbone, Big Comfy Couch. Those PBS shows were the best. Yeah, I felt this comment so hard. I loved the PBS Kids shows and I feel like so many people don't have the same level of intense nostalgia I have about them. Like my friends and I are constantly joking about how I missed out on so much of our childhood culture, and I always assumed that it was because my parents are big hippies so TV wasn't a huge deal for us. By the time I was a teen my parents had scraped together a solid life in a big city. But we grew up on a serious shoestring budget and money was never ever something that we could depend on. Ops comment made me wonder. Holy shit. During those lean years, did we literally not have cable because we couldn't afford it? Texted my mom, and yup, that's why I was so late to the game on so much media. Wild that it took me 32 years of life to figure this out. I'm so grateful for PBS programs. The mental struggle to buy anything and not feel guilty. I will think about something that would improve my life for 3 months before I buy it. But I can impulsively buy food, alcohol, or something stupid in a heartbeat. It's poor brain. We condition ourselves to immediately pay things off in order. You need a roof, wheels to get to work, food. Once that is done we reward ourselves with temporary joys. I did it for years, struggling the whole time and enraged that others had. I didn't actually grow up poor. But my parents always said, no, that's too expensive, to most of the things I asked for until I was probably 14. And by then I was unwilling to ask for things, or apologized profusely every time I did ask for something. So now I debate for months before buying anything over $100. But will buy several things that cost $5 to $10 on impulse over the course of a week. Still being poor. I can't peruse higher education because I live in poverty, which means only minimum wage jobs are available for me, which will keep me in poverty. Even if somehow I could go to college for free and was given a place to stay and food for free, which is impossible, I still couldn't afford to go to college because I need to work in order to help my family out with bills. This is why I think it's a dumb idea that Pell Grants only pay for school if you go 3/4 time or more. People in poverty, working 50+ hours a week, can't go to school 12 or more hours per week. The program should pay for whatever credits are needed to graduate regardless of how many you take at one time. So many more poor folks could be getting an education if they could just take a single class here and there. Odd hoarding behaviors of things you probably should have gotten rid of out of fear you won't be able to replace them easily. I keep a stack of boxes broken down because there's still this fear in the back of my mind that I'll have to move again at a moment's notice. I make a decent salary now and have lived where I am for nearly 7 years. But I still can't part with those boxes despite the space they take up. Under the bed, behind the chest of drawers. Yeah, I still have. I have a box from our Xmas party at work under my desk, and one of the other ladies asked me today why I still had it. All I could say was, it's a good box. And you never know when you're gonna need it. They're always around when you don't need them. But the minute you have to move. Unobtainium. Hoarding is very much a poor person's go-to psychosis. Just like the concept of minimalist living is the pipe dream of the well-off. I'd love to feel like I could exist in a minimalist space. The ability to get whatever you need when and as you need it instead of keeping every extra screw just in case you ever need one like it again. I have to constantly work against MG urge to hoard things. My husband didn't grow up poor and struggles to understand why it's hard for me. Lack of exposure to cultural events. Missing out on experiences that others may take for granted, such as attending concerts, traveling, or participating in extracurricular activities. I think my personal favorite is all my friends asking me, what do you mean you've never been there? It's only an hour away. Even traveling short distances is too much money. Really identify with this. I grew up very poor in an affluent area, and I remember kids constantly talking about a resort town 2 hours away that everyone went to for holidays, where many families owned homes. I could basically name all the businesses and activities at this resort without ever having been there. I didn't go on the 8th grade field trip to Washington, D.C. because we couldn't afford it. I told everyone it was because we lived there for a year, so I had seen it already. Partially true. We did live there. We were also poor while living there, so we didn't do anything. Edit for all the people telling me museums are free. We lived on Bowling Air Force Base. Both my parents were military, worked full-time jobs, served our country, and pursued the degrees to give us, their 4 kids, a better life. We lived there for a year before being stationed on Fort Sheridan in Illinois. Time is also an incredibly limiting factor when you have to constantly work, and it shows how privileged some of you are. I didn't get to go on those trips either. There were 2 in junior high. One to some camp in San Diego, the other to Washington, D.C. My sister, who is a few years younger than me, got to go on both trips because my parents were doing well enough by then to pay the fees for her. I won't pretend like I'm not still a little salty about all the things my sister got to do that I didn't.